In today's Midday Fix, we're getting advice from a relationship counselor and the author of the book, The Heart of the Fight.
It's coming out later this year, but Dr. Judith Wright is giving us some little tips early. We get a preview of this. So we were talking in the break, at least, and the title of the book suggests that you want people to fight. Steve and I've known you for more than 20 years, so I think I could say this, are both very conflict averse. This idea of fighting is one that I'm not real comfortable with, but you say we should?
You should, and actually if you avoid conflict, you're actually avoiding intimacy. I mean, love is messy. We have to dig in there and get at it and really understand what's going on underneath those fights, and we can actually get closer.
Yeah, but you might suggest there are rules of engagement. There's a proper way to fight.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say you have to be super careful, but one is really work on accentuating the positive. If you've got a baseline of love and affection, fights are easier to be able to deal with. And another one is to minimize those contemptuous, horrible, below-the-belt kinds of things, obviously. But another one that's really helpful is that nobody gets more than 50% of the blame. That you're all in this together, we've all got a part of it, and each of you gets 100% responsibility for your satisfaction.
I always think that communicating is perhaps better than fighting. And you talk about how if you're communicating, you listen to someone, but really active listening is not the way to engage a partner. It sort of flies in the face of everything we thought for years and years.
The studies show that it's actually one of the worst interventions because it's too careful. Real, committed relationships, people that are really real and engaged, they speak more honestly. They blurt out their truths and where they're not so controlled and careful. Being real is how you get more connected.
Yeah, do too many couples have some unrealistic ideas about what love is about, what it should be?
Yeah, you know, we have these fairy tale ideas.
Yeah.
In fact, 78% of people in a recent study have these elements of Cinderella and fairy tale. They lived happily ever after. But then what happens, it sets you up for a lot of disappointment. The minute you've got conflict, you think there's something wrong, or you married the wrong person, or there's something bad. It's not bad. It's inevitable that this stuff comes up, and we need to learn to really resolve it to understand one another.
Right, because sometimes you're just in a bad mood.
Right, it's really true. I'm just cranky. That's all there is. Then you need to get at what's really going on and take responsibility.
One of the things you talk about are those trivial arguments. And so, you know, here you are arguing over a gallon of milk or something, and you know that that's not what the fight is all about.
It's really not about that. It's what that fight symbolizes. So let's say he forgot the gallon of milk, or she didn't replace her toilet paper roll, or those simple things, but they symbolize something because we all, underneath, we deeply yearn to love and be loved, to be seen, to be heard, to matter. And those feel like, wait, you didn't listen to me. I don't matter. And that's what triggers the fight, the deeper yearning underneath.
One part of your book is are things you should never do when fighting with a spouse or loved one.
Well, several things. Don't lie, and don't be irresponsible, and make sure, and don't absolve yourself of responsibility. You have to own your part. But also don't show contempt. You can not like something, but not diss your partner totally. And really, it's like, you know, silent punishment, those bad silent treatments can be just as nasty, rasty as the out loud, vociferous, loud ones. That they're really, and really hitting below the belt, you know, when you really know somebody, you know what those tender spots are, and you don't have to go right at those.
And that's something you can't take back. If you say something that's cruel,
can be pretty damaging. And if you do those things, and you will, clean it up. Take responsibility. I was out of line. I'm sorry. I was over the top. And that can actually make a lot of distance get closer.
Yeah, what do you say about people who won't apologize for anything?
It's a trouble. And there's some people that over-apologize and they don't really mean it. But you need to really start with, wait, I was out of line. That was beyond what my point is good, but the way I rubbed your face in it, that was not okay. And then get to, I'm sorry. I'm sorry really matters.
One of the things that I thought of when I looked at this at first, you know, that you want people to fight is, let's face it, the makeup sex. I mean, is there something to that? Can I say that?
Well, yeah, you just did. You just did. Well, there is something about that. And some people use sex to make up and don't really resolve the problem, so that's not great. But there is something, once you get through a fight and you get to what you really cared about underneath, what you really deeply yearned for, what you really felt, you're really vulnerable, you're open, you feel really close then. That action can be more intimate, and it can lead to really great make-up sex and a great make-up intimacy.
In other words, nothing clears the air like a good fight.
Well, it's really true. It's like a storm that comes through, and it's actually beautiful afterwards.
Yeah.
Boy, you have to learn. I don't know.
I had to learn.
Thank you.
You can learn.
That's what you mentioned, that you can learn it.
Yeah.
Well,
Dr. Judith Wright, thank you so much. For more information or advice, you can visit judithwright.com.